Fly. Welcome back to another one. Tell the truth here. Don't care if it make them uncomfortable. It ain't our fault. Yo, but Smarling speaks live. Yeah, I'm saying what they hide. History uncensored, let the real survive. Yeah, it's truth over comfort, I don't pick no side. If it shake the room a little, let the truth collide. Cause it's Marlon speaks live, no script, no disguise. I don't sell no lies, just to monetize. Cause the past still breathing and it never dies. Yeah, it's Marlon speaks live, now the truth will rise. Yo, but Marlon speaks live. Yeah, I'm saying what they hide. History uncensored, let the real survive.
Political reasons is what I think. But a lot of it, just in average citizens, people didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to help. There still are a lot of strange myths. People who knew better just stuck with racism for political reasons is what I think. But a lot of it, just in average citizens, people didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to help. There still are a lot of strange myths floating around in the South. There were a lot of strange tales from Reconstruction. There's an awful lot of fiction that floats about, and so I have no idea what kind of weird notions people had, but mostly I think it is of losing control. I mean, there was some higher level of trust, even of dishonest or corrupt white politicians, than of a black in some position of authority over you, for people who had grown up with these myths and fears. People who knew better.
With the Elon Musk of the world, and I laid this out in my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. This is all a part of this white fear. It's the attacks on CRT, DEI, affirmative action. They're going after every program. Because here's what I say. White folks are scared, racist white folks like this are scared to death to compete. And people need to understand, this ain't a conservative thing. It's some white liberals who think the exact same way. They are afraid to death that their kids are not going to have the same white advantages that they had, and they now say, damn, we got to compete against these black folks and Latinos and Asians and Native Americans. They didn't have to compete that same way before when it came to fellow white folks. With the Elon Musk of the world.
Exactly. Here got a white perspective on that same thing.
I'm Mr. Beat here. I'm white. Seriously, my skin color is white. Well, technically like peach, but I belong to a human group that can trace their ancestry to Europe with mostly lighter skin color. And I probably didn't have to tell you that because you can see me right now, unless you're blind. Anyway, I bring this up because you may come across some xenophobic messaging when you're doing your thing on the old internet. You all remember what xenophobia is, right?
Go back to Ireland, you dumb mitt! You remember that, you bug? She's back in the booth, Patty!
It's the fear of people from other countries. Now, even though this messaging is xenophobic, it's sneaky. In fact, it's terribly good at manipulating us, despite being full of crap and despite it probably going against everything you value and believe. I even fell for it, and I'm supposed to be smart. By the way, I'm not that smart. I just pretend to be smart on YouTube. But anyway, a few years ago, I noticed a bunch of folks who identify as white started bringing up something called the Great Replacement. Put simply, the Great Replacement theory says that too much immigration of non-white folks to countries that are mostly made up of white folks is bad. Not only that, those who promote the Great Replacement theory argue that welcoming immigration policies for non-whites are part of a plot meant to either weaken or replace the political power and culture of white people living in Western countries. When I say Western countries, it's not just Europe I'm talking about. I'm also talking about the Americas, Australia, and New Zealand. By the way, you might want to check out my video about Western values when you get a chance. Huh? Simply put, the Great Replacement is the alleged replacement of whites by non-whites. It often overlaps with a larger theory called the white genocide conspiracy theory, which revolves around the beliefs that powerful people are trying to prevent whites from having kids. Often the conspiracy is blamed on, you guessed it, Jewish people. This theory is manipulative because it equates normal patterns of immigration with murder. It's trying to put a big equals sign between the new Salvadoran or Syrian who lives down the street and a mental image of a concentration camp. Now, obviously, if they literally did that, then you and I wouldn't fall for the messaging. Therefore, the messengers have to be a little bit more subtle about it. And lately, they've gotten pretty good at manipulating us. Here's the thing though, not only are those who preach about the Great Replacement theory manipulating us, but as it turns out, the entire theory is bullcrap. It's literally not backed by evidence at all. There is no secret plot to get rid of white folks, but let's just say that there was. Well, they must be doing a pretty poor job, eh? Since
the crazy part about it is it's always been the exact opposite. It's always been a real plot to exterminate anybody with this melanin, especially black people. Yeah, it's been happening. The lynchings, the even the abortion clinics, that was started to try to control blacks' reproduction here in this country. We have whole systems. Every system pretty much was created in America, was created to disrupt the reproduction of black people. So this is, see, these crazy folks today, they have this thing in their head where they got a guilty conscience. So they think we trying to do to them what they've been trying to do to us. It's the same old thing, just like when a man that's cheating on his wife, he accuses her of cheating the most, and y'all all understand how that work, right? So yeah, it's the same exact thing, except it's done by a whole race of people who have a guilty conscience because they've been doing the same shit systematically. So they think that it's going to be the same shit going to be done to them systematically. Yeah, everybody can see what's been trying to be done to our people. So, of course, they think that, oh, they're trying to get us back. No, actually, we pray for y'all. We really, literally pray for y'all because, that white on white crime that's happening, that's related to this systematic hate that y'all been inflicting on our people. Now y'all starting to harm yourselves. That's how that works.
There are more white folks now than ever before. You might be thinking, well, duh, Mr. Beat, but whites represent a smaller percentage of the proportion of the world. Well, who counts as white isn't based on genetics or even demographics. It's based on politics. In the United States, for example, Irish Americans, Italian Americans, and Polish Americans weren't considered white until the early 1900s. Greek Americans weren't white until just a few decades ago. Some Arab Americans used to be considered white, but by the end of the 1900s were no longer considered white. Even though race isn't a biological reality, it has still been a way for people in power to divide us up over the years.
Yep.
Not only that, immigration is simply currently not high enough, nor will it likely ever be, to make it so that skin color, values, or culture will completely change in one country. Sure, there will be demographic changes, and there already has been, but there is no evidence that these recent demographic changes have dramatically changed the dominant culture and values of any one country. We often just see cultural assimilation. Oh, cultural assimilation is the process in which a minority culture gets absorbed into the dominant culture of a society. Not that that matters, as these immigrants already share American values. That's why they're coming here. And the different cultures they bring are almost always beneficial to American society. Also, most immigrants, and especially their children, assimilate peacefully into the existing culture, which, by the way, is constantly changing anyway, and has always been multicultural. This is no surprise to me, as I've had many students who were the kids of immigrants, but if I didn't know they were the kids of immigrants, I would have assumed that their family had been in this country for many generations. So then it just comes down to skin color, and if you're really concerned that skin colors of all humans in your society might change, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why? Skin pigmentation is highly correlated with distance from the equator. That's right. The random lottery of how far you are from this line determines what color you get to be. The primary pigment in human skin is melanin, which is used to protect us from the sun. Just because your friend Jessica doesn't get sunburnt as often as you doesn't make her any less human. More than that, this distribution of colors has changed a lot over human history, and Europeans from even just 8,000 years ago looked dramatically different than they do today. Keep in mind that for the vast majority of human history, humans with lighter skin pigmentation have not existed. So who came up with the Great Replacement Theory? Well, apparently this dude came up with a modern concept of the Great Replacement Theory, René Camus, a French writer who at least popularized the term with a couple books.
He's spitting some facts right there, y'all. For the majority of human history, white people did not exist. Imagine that. So as much as y'all worried about being extinct, imagine y'all have not existed that long. Just 8,000 years out of hundreds of thousands of years. So, yeah, that's what y'all need to be focused on. Y'all need to be grateful that you even exist. Because it wasn't that long ago as far as, you know, the whole grand scheme of what, you know, how long we've been here. Y'all should be happy that y'all even exist in the first place. That's where your focus should be.
First of which came out in 2010. Camus argued that white Europeans were being disproportionately replaced by immigrants from Africa and the Middle East, which could lead to the, quote, extinction of whites. Camus particularly was afraid of Muslim immigration, arguing they often had a much higher...
The crazy part about it, that's where white people come from. You worried about being replaced by Africans and people from the Middle East, when actually those are your descendants. Those are your ancestors. That's where you come from in the first place. You wouldn't even existed without them. And you worried about being replaced by them? They made you. That's the crazy part about this shit, man. This dumb. Y'all gotta do y'all history on who y'all are, and that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to teach everybody who they are. We gotta teach first the original. The ones with this deep, dark melanin, who they are. Let them know that not only do these other people not validate you, but actually those other people come from you, which is more than validation. It's literally creation, or like I said, we are their ancestors, our bloodline anyway. Like not us personally, but our bloodline is the ancestors of their bloodline. And, you know, all you non-melanated, dark melanated people, y'all could trace y'all lineage to us. So, yeah, we just talking about white people right now.
Higher birth rate than whites, even though around 40% of Muslims identify as, you know, white. But I digress. It's not surprising that white supremacists were attracted to Camus' Great Replacement Theory, but incredibly it became fairly mainstream by the time I first encountered it in this 2017 video by, what was her name? Warren Northern? Yeah, I think that was it. Well, the video has since been taken down, but still, back in 2017, it did very well, and just Warren casually bringing up the theory like it ain't no thing was surprising. It was proof that Camus had given white supremacists a powerful argument to use, even if that argument was false. Since then, his followers have described immigration as an invasion, and they generally promote the idea that non-white immigrants, whatever that means, have dramatically different values than whites and are trying to erase white culture. Isn't it just another version of xenophobia? I mean, yeah, basically. Yeah, before Camus popularized his Great Replacement theory going back more than 100 years before that in France, there was a nationalist, anti-non-white immigrant movement brewing there. In fact, in most of the Western world, going back to the 1800s, there have been similar movements, especially due to the increase of immigrants to the Western world from African and Asian countries. Because of this xenophobia, many people in Western countries called for nativism, or the policy of protecting native-born citizens over immigrants. Xenophobia hasn't always been about skin color. In the United States, for example, many nativists hated the Irish, Catholics, Jewish people. This is what led to groups like the Ku Klux Klan. Oh, goodness gracious. But the Great Replacement theory is different in that it has found widespread appeal online. Media-savvy white supremacists have been successful making it appealing to people who are, definitely not white supremacists. This might be because now they say Great Replacement instead of white genocide. Even a member of Congress, Steve King of Iowa, endorsed the theory. The scariest thing about this being so mainstream is that it has led to violence. A lot of it. In 2011, this guy from Norway wrote a 1,500-page manifesto explaining his fear of white ethnic replacement by migrants from the Middle East and North Africa. He then killed 77 in a terrorist attack. In 2018, this guy from Pennsylvania posted online that Jews were responsible for the Great Replacement and they needed to be killed. He then went on to kill 11 people in a synagogue in Pittsburgh. Some of those were Holocaust survivors. The next year, this guy from Texas also wrote a manifesto that said he was going to defend his country from a, quote, cultural and ethnic replacement brought on by an invasion of Hispanics. He then went on to kill 23 people at a Walmart in El Paso. And then, of course, the Buffalo shooting, which happened while we made this video, also was inspired by the Great Replacement theory. Now, obviously, not everyone who falls for these lies will commit a mass murder, but anyone, including me and you, can fall for Great Replacement theory messaging since they use manipulative tactics to make false claims sound plausible. And if we're not careful and critical, we can be manipulated, and heck, we could even be radicalized by this stuff. For the rest of this video, we're going to look at how people fall for the Great Replacement theory and look at how you can avoid falling for it too. Those who tend to promote the Great Replacement theory often use the same talking points. They are all bullcrap, but persist anyway. Talking point number 1. Biology is destiny. It's manipulative because when we hear biology, we think, oh, it's science, so it has to be legit, right? This one says that culture is genetically determined and that genetic features predetermine cultural traits. For example, they might say that all of the problems in the African American community and in all of Africa are rooted in inferior genetics or culture. In other words, they say that black people inherently are less intelligent or more likely to be violent. It's bullcrap. It's been disproven by decades of scholarly research. For example, many outcomes from measures of intelligence to violence are driven by socioeconomic status and income inequality. There is absolutely no evidence that biology is the driving factor. For example, African Americans perform similarly to other Americans when given access to the same opportunities. Talking point number 2. We are brave to speak the truth, and the normies are cowards. It's manipulative because it's fun to be in a secret club and have access to secret information. Basically, this one says that people with racist beliefs are actually countercultural truth tellers. They're not sheep who conform. Yeah, if conforming means not being racist, I think we ought to conform then. And for people who don't conform, they sure use the same talking points a lot. Talking point number 3, diversity is conflict. It's manipulative because the vast majority of us fear conflict. And this one says that diversity automatically causes conflict. It often relies on cherry-picking evidence and studies to back up its claim. It's bullcrap. There is plenty of research that actually shows that diversity enriches societies, even in the ways the haters claim to care about. For example, diverse groups of problem solvers often outperform groups of high performers on really tough problems. And that makes sense because tough problems need new perspectives. It's how we got automatic elevator doors, basketball, and the iPhone. That's right, that thing you're watching this video on right now wouldn't exist without diversity. Talking point number 4. Whites are being exploited. It's manipulative because people naturally don't want to be taken advantage of. This one says whites are victims of diversity and says that whites are being taken advantage of by non-whites and, quote, race traders, or whites that don't have these views. They argue that it's natural for humans to act in the interest of their own race, even at the expense of others outside of their group. It's bullcrap. Remember, powerful people created the whole idea of race in order to divide us and to justify their place at the top of social hierarchies. Also, how exactly are whites being exploited? This is manipulative because it points to a vague threat to make you feel scared, yet doesn't provide good evidence of specific exploitation of whites. And remember, humans cooperating and working together is what built, all of human history. Talking point number 5. Things used to be so much better is manipulative because we generally all love nostalgia or an emotional connection to a period in the past. This one tries to inspire nostalgia for an imaginary past when things were better and tradition was respected. In particular, this talking point revolves around the myth that, quote, racial purity used to be a thing and that racial groups used to live separately, and because of that, things were better. It's bullcrap. All modern humans originated from Africa. Different groups of humans have always interacted, and new ethnic groups have formed and evolved throughout human history. Talking point number 6. The Jews are to blame. Yeah, do I really have to explain this one? I made a whole video on the history of anti-Semitism, if you also want to check that one out. There are also things to watch out for, what I call
Great Replacement Theory red flags.
Those who tend to promote the Great Replacement Theory also use shocking images to dehumanize non-whites. They bring up IQ a lot. They bring up Marx, as in Karl Marx, and they bring up cultural Marxism a lot. They bring up open borders a lot. They often refer to migration as an invasion. They tend to talk trash about diversity and multiculturalism. They tend to use certain rhetorical strategies to make radical views seem not so radical at all. Probably the most common rhetorical strategy is limited framing. Limited framing is usually applied in videos in which the host on screen will put boundaries on the discussion to make someone with crazy views seem more reasonable. Basically, they leave out the more controversial stuff and focus on the less controversial stuff they are saying, like that Warren Northern video I mentioned earlier. And to deflect a bit and to convince you that their opinions are not so crazy after all, they'll say things like, people are saying. If you get angry at their opinions, they might say, you mad bro, to attempt to make it seem like you're overreacting. Or weak. They present their information as if they are giving the uncomfortable truth that is a threat to the elites or the establishment or the new world order or the globalists or even just they. They'll say, "You have been lied to," or title their videos something along the lines of, "The Truth About Immigration," or "The Real History of Immigration." To defend themselves, they'll often say, "I'm just asking questions," or attack you for not being open-minded enough. Overall, they rely heavily on logical fallacies. Here's a video I made about logical fallacies, by the way. So what is that now? 3 videos to watch after this? That's a lot of homework. And finally, great replacement theory promoters often use memes. Seriously. In fact, memes are a big reason why the Great Replacement Theory has spread in recent years. So let's look at some memes and see if you can spot these Great Replacement Theory red flags. Yeah, first of all, this is literally a limited frame. The person who put this together wanted you to believe that this photo was of men from Afghanistan fleeing the country to the United States after it fell to the Taliban in the summer of 2021. However, and I had to do a lot of digging to find this out, this photo is actually a group of immigrants returning to Afghanistan from Turkey in 2018. What helped me researching it is doing a reverse image search of the photo, and I suggest you do the same whenever you come across any photo that gets you fired up. So the first red flag is the picture. Next, of course, there's the red flag of calling accepting refugees into a country an invasion. 2 red flags right off the bat with this one. One, again, is that word, invading. And second is the shocking image to dehumanize. This also hits at talking point number 3. Diversity is conflict. This picture was circulated claiming to be a picture of refugees fighting with police in Germany in 2015 at the height of the refugee crisis. It was used to manipulate people into being afraid of refugees. Well, the picture was actually taken in 2012 and had nothing to do with the refugee crisis. There's the IQ red flag, of course, and then they just show a picture of supposedly French black people, although I couldn't find where this picture originated from, and so who knows where these people are actually from. And they're not even really trying that hard anymore. They're just showing a picture of black people next to unsubstantiated text. Folks can't even stand peacefully without these manipulators looking for a way to weaponize their image. Hey, I can do that too, see? I could write literally anything. It doesn't make it true. And while that link at the bottom goes to a real study, it has nothing to do with rising immigration in France. But how many people would actually click on it to look at that study? Probably not many. Okay? This also hits at talking point number 1. Biology is destiny. This fits the formula of giving the uncomfortable truth that is a threat to the elites, or in this case, they. Who are they, by the way? I've always wanted to know who they were. Anyway, this also hits talking point number 1. Biology is destiny. Talking about, quote, third worlders. And talking point number 4. Whites are being exploited. Oof. This one is especially horrendous. Talking point number 4, whites are being exploited. Talking point number 6, the Jews are to blame. And a bunch of stuff about IQ and marks. And there's the giving of the uncomfortable truth that is a threat to the elites. So here is a picture of the mayor of the London borough of Camden. She is the first black mayor of Camden, and no, is not a supremacist of any kind. What I particularly found fascinating about this one is that the meme implies she needs to be deported back home. Well, I guess deport her to Camden then, since she's lived there her whole life? There are many, many more examples I found online, but at this point, I'm just getting worn out by all the fear and hate. So let's just wrap this up. The bottom line is the Great Replacement Theory is still a big movement because its proponents have done well to play on the natural fears people have of economic and social instability and just change in general. In case you haven't noticed, things haven't been all peachy for the majority of us lately. The world has plenty of problems. Often, it's easier for us to just place blame on certain groups, and groups that are less like us are easy targets. So what can you do in response to Great Replacement Theory manipulation? Number 1, probe the point. Does the content use one of these common talking points that are not backed by evidence? Number 2, fish for flags. Are there any red flags present? Like regular mentions of IQ, use of words like invasion and shocking images? Number 3, resist the rhetoric. Is there use of a rhetorical strategy like limited framing, reference to a mysterious elitist majority they, or use of logical fallacies? And number 4, mind the meme. Remember that memes are easy to share but difficult to fact check. Make sure to reverse image search to understand a picture's true context and do your own research before you share a meme yourself. These are some small steps you can take to make sure that you don't fall for this messaging, and in general, make society a safer and more peaceful place for all of us. Speaking of all of us, we can't be replaced because humans reproduce. We just make more humans. Let's end this video with a thought experiment. Imagine if you met someone from a foreign country who looked a lot different than you. They had a different religion than you. They liked different foods and music than you. Heck, they didn't even speak your language. But you fell in love with them anyway, and you both got married and had kids and lived happily ever after. Wait, about your future kids. You'd love them too, wouldn't you? They can't replace us because they are us. Don't be fooled. Human differences are really small, so we don't have to fear each other. Instead, let's just get to know each other.
Real talk. We are us.
Thanks for watching this video. This is one of the most difficult videos I've ever had to make, and I know
That was dope. That was dope. Great content, Mr. Beats. I'm going to add that video in the link. In the description right now, so y'all can go over there and watch that on your own. But yeah, I needed to do the whole video because that was my first time watching it, and I felt like it was a good look just from when I first turned it on. So yeah, humans will replace humans. There's no replacement. Like, you crazy, deranged, racist white people, y'all need to be focused on the fact that you got life, and it ain't been that long. So I would be grateful, be very thankful to all the people that y'all hate. Y'all need to be very thankful because we represent the people that you come from. Yeah, the darker, the more love you should be given. Because and this goes for every other race. You know, if you're from Arabic, if you're Arabic and all of that, you need to be thanking Africans because you are more closely related. The Asians, y'all need to be thanking Africans. Y'all are more closely related to us than the Europeans. But you Europeans, y'all the newest, y'all the new kids on the block. So y'all need to be thanking the Asians, who y'all come from. Y'all need to be thanking the Native Americans. They are basically a branch of Asian too. The Mexicans, they basically a branch of Asian as well. So yeah, you Europeans, y'all need to be thanking the Asians and then also thanking the Africans, you know, because we all originate in Africa, just like Mr. Beat said. soon as we can get past all of that, man, there's no replacement. Only humans gonna replace humans, man. So if y'all worried about your skin, just keep in mind, y'all ain't been here that long. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we still gonna be humans, whether or not white or because white is brand new. Is not even, it's brand new, just from going way up, way north of the equator. Finally getting there 7,000-8,000 years ago. So, yeah, quit. Y'all can't be replaced because y'all are us. Y'all actually are us. If anything, y'all trying to replace us. That's what it seemed to me to be. Y'all are trying to replace the original people, the people that y'all come from. That's what seems to be happening. And we not tripping, because guess what? Y'all still us. So it don't even matter. We not worried about that. So yeah, man, look, if y'all like this content, like, comment, subscribe, share, all of that. Get into the comments whether you agree with this or not, even though these are historical facts. Y'all can do your own research on it. But like I said, I'm about to add the link to this in the description, so y'all can go over there and check it out, man. You can't be extinct. Humans are humans. You can't be replaced. We are us. Learn that, man. Quit being worried about your blue eyes and your blonde hair, man. That's a defect. You know what I'm saying? That's not really a real feature. It's just a defect. Trust me. All right, I'm out.
Yeah. Marlon Speaks Live. Welcome back to another one. Tell the truth here. Don't care if it make them uncomfortable. It ain't our fault. Yo, it's Marlon Speaks Live. Yeah, I'm saying what they hide. History uncensored, let the real survive. Yeah, it's truth over comfort, I don't pick no side. If it shake the room a little, let the truth collide. Cause it's Marlon Speaks Live. No script, no disguise. I don't sell no lies, just to monetize. Cause the past still breathing and it never dies. Yeah, it's Marlon Speaks Live. Now the truth will rise. Yo, it's Marlon Speaks Live. Yeah, I'm saying what they hide. History uncensored, let the real survive.